Hey everyone, it's Emily, and it's been a while since I've shared a proper pickups video with you all. A few months, in fact, so I'm really excited to share quite a number of things that I've accumulated over these past few months. I'm actually in somewhat of a low buy right now, so I actually didn't pick up that many video games last month. Most of these that I'll be sharing today are from November and December. I'm also going to be sprinkling in some figures, mostly from the Trail series, as well as some model kits that I finally assembled, and I'm really excited to share with you all. They're not 100% done, but I'm really happy with the progress I've made on them so far. And towards the end, I'm also going to share some One Piece merch, which I know this is a video game related channel, and One Piece isn't necessarily video game related. But when I finally beat One Piece Odyssey back in the fall, I was kind of on a One Piece kick for a bit, and having just caught up with the anime and everything, I bought a few One Piece related things. So I thought it'd be fun to share also some One Piece things that I've also picked up the past few months or so. So to kick off the video games, I'll be starting with my PS Vita title that I picked up. That is of Bastion. This is one of the numbered limited run releases. They released quite a few years ago, number 173. I'm a huge Supergiant Games fan. I really love Hades and Transistor and a few other titles, including Bastion. And I've been painstakingly waiting for a physical release on the Switch for Bastion because it does have a digital port over there. I don't know if Supergiant Games just doesn't want to work with limited run games anymore, which is understandable, but the Switch physical release never happened for Bastion. And this is actually the first Supergiant game that they developed and was a huge hit. So I'm really pleased that I finally own this physically. I do have it digitally on the eShop, but as a physical game collector, I really wanted to have all of my favorite games represented in physical form whenever possible. But what's really cool about Bastion in particular is it's an action RPG, but it has a lot of cool environmental aspects to it where you move around the world, it comes to life. And it's really cool how they put this game together visually. So I'm, again, just really happy that I now own this in physical form. And like so many other PS Vita titles, if this does eventually go to the Switch physically, I may have to upgrade. It really does seem like most PS Vita games are getting Switch releases. For example, we're getting Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus on the Switch, and it's supposed to have all the DLC as well as a brand new translation because the original was a little bit wonky. And I am a collector who really does value consistency with my shelves, so I really do enjoy owning not only series and franchises, but also sometimes certain studios. It's really nice to have them all on the same platform. Now, kind of going a step back in the timeline for Sony handhelds, I did pick up 2 PSP games the last few months, or rather 1.5, which I'll explain in a little bit. So I got both of these in a bundle and also applied a coupon to it to make it a really good deal. So the first game I got was Valkyria Chronicles 2. This is a pretty popular Sega strategy RPG, and the funny thing is I already own 2 in this franchise. I own the first one remastered on the PS4, actually right here, as well as Valkyria Chronicles 4 on the Switch. And I feel a little silly picking up the second one on this PSP without having played the other 2. But strategy RPGs are kind of my jam, so I knew I would probably love these anyway, and I just need to find time to finally play them. I'm not totally sure what order I should go in. I've owned the Switch version of Valkyria Chronicles for the longest, so I'm thinking of probably starting there and working my way backwards. But nevertheless, I'm really pleased with this physical edition. It came with the manual, and the UMD disc looks really nice. And I'm looking forward to playing more strategy RPGs that have real-time elements to them. I mostly play traditional turn-based strategy RPGs so far, with the exception of Lost Dimension, which had more of the real-time mechanics to it. So I'm hoping sometime this year I'll finally get to experience Valkyria Chronicles at some point and see kind of what the hype is on this anime take on World War II. The other PSP title that came in this bundle unfortunately didn't include the UMD disc, which I knew going in. It was really good price just for both of them together, and I figured I could pick up the UMD disc easily on eBay for a fraction of the price of what normally you could find this game complete in box for, and that is for Valkyrie Profile Lenneth. And this is another franchise that I've been accumulating quite a number of entries for, but haven't experienced yet. So as you see inside here, unfortunately there's no UMD disc, but there's some nice artwork on the inside cover, as well as this full black and white manual. So from my understanding, this entry isn't quite as difficult as the one that's on the DS, the Covenant of the Plume, I think it's called. However, this does stay more true to the Valkyria Profile franchise compared to the latest entry that came out a couple years ago, Valkyria Elysium, which is a different type of action RPG and was considered a pretty large departure from the franchise as a whole. So I'm not really sure where the best place to start for this franchise is. I don't think working my way backwards makes too much much sense because of how different titles are. There is, I think, more of a difficulty spike in the earlier entries compared to the latest entry. So I'm not really sure if I should play the PSP game first or the DS first. So if anyone has any insight, I would love to hear it. Then lastly, for PlayStation, I picked up a PS4 game that I've been eyeing for quite some time. It was a reprint from Video Games Plus that they discounted during Black Friday, or I think this was also during the end of the year sale event, which is when I actually picked it up. That is Knights of Azure 2. Now, do I know that this is a very fan servicey action RPG? Yes, I'm well aware, and I've actually owned the first game on the PS4 as well that I picked up from Video Games Plus that I think I featured in a pickups video a few months back. And during that video, I remember in the comments a few questioning why I decided to pick that up. And the main reason is because after playing a number of the Atelier games, I've become a pretty large fan of Gust, and I really want to experience some of their other games that they've worked on. From what I've been able to gauge online, the story is a little bit better in the first game, whereas I think that maybe the mechanics and the combat was a little bit more refined in the sequel here. So I'm a little curious if that's my assessment as well when I get to them. But yeah, I don't really mind that there's a lot of Yuri kind of fan servicey elements into this. That doesn't usually faze me much. And I'm just curious how this will play and also how they approach kind of those fan service elements that they don't go quite so hard in the Atelier games that I played so far. So I'm curious kind of what they look like in this particular franchise from Gust. All right, so also in that Video Games Plus order that I made during their, I think, end of the year sale it was, I also picked up my first ever Xbox related item, which I know I never feature Xbox. And this has also been a common question I've had on the channel, is why I don't collect for Xbox. And I think a few people could kind of guess why. Xbox isn't really known for JRPGs, and the modern consoles have kind of departed away from physical media, unfortunately, and unfortunately only having access to some of the physical games through downloads or being connected online. So that's sort of why I've stayed away from Xbox. Are there some games from the past I would love to collect? Yes, like Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, Fable. These are all games that I'm interested in. Right now there's a ton of controversy around Xbox, and they haven't totally told us what their future direction is, but they've been heavily hinting at it. We'll learn at least a part of it next week, it sounds like. At some point, would I consider collecting some Xbox games? Sure. Honestly, a lot of the Xbox stuff, it does seem like we're probably going to have access to it on PC, and that's sort of why I decided to pick up a controller. So I went with the Astral Purple Xbox wireless controller, and Video Games Plus was selling this for a great deal. I think it was around $40. It includes free shipping, and there's no tax shipping from Canada to the United States where I am. So I sort of preemptively bought this because I am looking into buying a gaming PC sometime in the near future, and thought this would be a nice controller to own. And so I didn't do too much research on this, so I was a little surprised that this actually does take batteries and it's not rechargeable just straight out of the box. I know there are some docks you could buy, as well as the rechargeable battery packs. So I need to kind of figure out what angle I want to go when using this, because I don't want to just feed it constant batteries all the time. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this colorway. I really like the black, purple, and white all together, and I could see why a lot of people collect these. I think Xbox has done a really good job at their colorways when it comes to their controllers, and they're also pretty affordable. But yeah, I'm trying not to go too crazy with controllers, because at the end of the day, I really don't use that many controllers, which I think I'll probably get into in another video soon. But they are certainly pretty and fun to collect. All right, so now we're down to the 2 Switch games that I bought the last few months. The first one was one I bought from Superware Games, and this was their 100th release, and that is Little Gator Game. So this is a quirky indie title that you play as this childlike gator who explores this island, and I usually see this described as a very playful take on 3D Zelda formula. I'm kind of a sucker when it comes to Zelda-likes, and I just heard so many charming things about this particular title. I think the art style is perfect for the Switch. From a couple reviews that I saw, many people describe this experience as kind of being transported back in time as a child. That just kind of appealed to me. This is my second game from Superware Games. I also picked up A Short Hike, which I think is actually kind of a similar premise to Little Gator Game. Definitely a different art style and overall theme of what the game's about, but I definitely get a very similar feel to both of these, so I'm really pleased to have picked this up. So I went with the standard edition, and it did come with a pack of cards here, and like many limited print publishers, there's also some inside cover art as well as a manual inside, which is always nice to see. So my video where I did an audit of all of my purchases from last year, this game was included as one of the limited print publisher games because I technically paid for it last year, and so that's the year I usually count these types of games towards. And this year I'm really striving to not pick up as many limited print published games, including from companies like Limited Run Games or Super Rare Games, and really just grab a few that I really want in my collection. Because honestly, even with all the FOMO of these potential great indie titles that get rave reviews and they could be your next favorite, I just don't see myself playing too many more of them because I have so many in my collection right now. I'm really trying to not have the FOMO bug bite me too much this year. So hopefully that continues. Now, last but not least is a game that was sent to me by Idea Factory. And this was kind of a surprise game because I wasn't expecting them to send this to me. And that is this visual novel that's called My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. Pirates of the Disturbance, and I believe this is based off of a light novel series. So if you purchase the standard copy of this game or the limited edition, which I'll show in a second, it includes a free 1-month membership to J Novel Club, where I think the intent of this is for you to read the light novel maybe before you play this, or if you really enjoy the game, you could also read it retrospectively. I know there's also an anime based off of this, and I've definitely seen this main character featured in a lot of scale figures from the figure collectors that I follow on YouTube. So I'm pretty intrigued by this actually, and I'm not sure when I'll get to it. And I'm trying to figure out whether or not you need to have that background information before you dive in the game. I believe this plays like an otome game. So you play as the female here, and there's a lot of different guys and routes that you romance and get to know is, I believe, the premise. So just from the back of this, it sounds like everyone is on this ship and they somehow get attacked by pirates, and each different route could lead either to like a bad ending or there's a good ending. So it kind of sounds fun. And from the reviews I saw, they were actually very positive, but I'm pretty sure it's probably good to have a foundation of who these characters are maybe before starting this game. So I'm hoping to read some of the light novel or at least watch some of the anime before getting into this. So this is the limited edition. That comes in this nice box, and included is a beautiful steelbook. I think Idea Factory makes some of the best Switch steelbooks ever, so I highly recommend them, especially if you are into this genre at all, or some of the other games that they also publish. There's also a soundtrack CD that includes both a drama CD as well as a soundtrack, which I appreciate. The game they sent me last year was also an otome visual novel, but the physical CD only included a drama CD and not any music, which I found kind of disappointing. So it's nice that this has two different discs. So those who are interested in the drama CD could listen to it, and those who are only or also interested in the soundtrack also get that in this package. Like all Idea Factory limited editions, this includes a trading card with art featuring the characters from this game. And lastly, this also includes a nice hardcover art book that includes a lot of official artwork in their gallery section, as well as different character profiles. And there's some, I think, spoilers at the end, so I'm going to skip over that. But I think those are all the sort of good ending scenes you could get while playing this visual novel. So I want to thank Idea Factory again for sending this to me. This was definitely a surprise, but a welcome one, because again, I've been very curious actually about this anime and this character in particular. I've seen a lot of scale figures, and I think maybe a pop-up parade figure if I'm not mistaken. So I'm very intrigued, and if I ever get around to it anytime soon, I'll let you know how this goes. All right, so next I'm going to get into some of the model kits I've been working on. So there are two model kits that I've purchased last year. First was Valimar the Ashen Knight, which I believe I've showed in a previous pickups video. Not assembled, it was just still contained in the box. More recently, I got Ordine the Azure Knight, and they're fairly simple to put together in the spectrum of all kind of Gundam and model kits. So last December, I decided to finally kind of take the plunge and put these model kits together. So the first one I assembled, the Valimar here, and I'm gonna say he was a little tricky to put together. The head in particular, as well as his wings here, were almost impossible to snap into place. It took quite a lot of force, and I was almost afraid of breaking him at one point. But he is attached and all put together. What's really interesting about model kits is I really enjoyed the experience of kind of cutting each individual piece together. I found this really therapeutic, actually. December was a very stressful month for me because I was doing a lot of job interviews. So this was a really nice thing to kind of wind down to. I'm really glad to finally assemble him. He's not totally 100% complete yet. So when it comes to painting, all the gray details were all pre-painted, as well as the gold and the kind of greenish teal little gem areas were also pre-painted. But I wanted to customize him a little bit more, and there were a few different tutorials online of how to paint him, including how to use some of the panel line markers, as well as the gold markers, just kind of give him a little bit more pizzazz and make him a little bit more accurate to what Valimar looks like in the video game. And so I used the official Gundam markers to do this, and I did find them a little bit tricky to kind of not make too many mistakes. So I had to use a lot of this alcohol to kind of clean up my lines. And so I'm still kind of in the middle of that because what I decided to do, which I kind of wish I didn't, was I first assembled him and then decided to paint him afterwards. I found it was a little bit easier to paint and also cut the individual pieces out at the same time and then put them together. So I think this was a very good kind of learning Gundam model for me. And if we zoom in here, you'll definitely see some of the gold paint, as well as the panel are not as vivid as I would want them to be. So I need to find time to go over those with a steady hand and hopefully not make any more mistakes. I also found that the panel line marker that came in this pack of metallics here with all the other Gundam markers was not really great for this kit. So I actually ordered this other pen that I think is going to be a little bit better, getting a little bit more definition in these little inseam areas to make all the little details stand out a little bit better. So once I'm satisfied with how his paint and panel lines look, I'm going to finish him off with, I think, a finishing spray just to give him that glossy look and kind of seal it all together. So I just need to get back to this and finally complete him and put him somewhere on the shelves. Now this is Ordyne, the Azure Knight. So if you want to compare this model kit to the first model kit with Valimar, I do think Ordyne is a bit easier and a little bit more fun to put together. So I don't know if this is because this is my second model kit, and so there was a little bit of a learning curve, always I think with your first model kit, but generally I didn't have any issues with putting him together. Unlike with Valimar, there's some pieces that again wouldn't snap into place, and you had to apply a ton of force with fear of breaking the figure. But with this Azure Knight, he was a lot easier. The only kind of complaints I have with his overall design is these little blue pieces here. They don't stay in place that easily. I'm kind of thinking of gluing them in because they just don't like to stay for whatever reason. So I feel like they always fall off, which as you see here, I'm kind of struggling to put it back in. I think also maybe just the blue adds a lot of interest to his overall design and just his presence too. I don't know. I'm not totally sure if this is maybe my bias showing, but if I had to compare Breen and Crow together, I'm definitely more of a Crow girly than Breen girly. But I really enjoyed this model kit. And there's a third one coming out. I don't know when, but I'm really excited to have that be my third model kit. I might look into some other video game related model kits because I kind of feel like the model kit bug has kind of bit me, and these are just a lot of fun. Expensive, another expensive hobby to kind of look into, one that's a little bit time consuming, especially if you want to get the paint and everything just right. But yeah, these are a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that I took the plunge and decided to get these despite knowing nothing about model kits prior to any of that. Since we're talking about trails, I also picked up Altina's Nendoroid here, which is precious. This is my first Trails large Nendoroid. I have some of the little Nendoroid petite ones, but I'm really happy that I decided to go ahead and get her Nendoroid, even though I do have her full scale figure behind me. She has another figure that I think was delayed to maybe this month or next month by Q. That looks great as well, but I don't know if I really need 3 Altina figures. Because I really don't have any shelf space for all those figures. Again, I'm really pleased with this Nendoroid, and it's one I do recommend. And now I'm curious if we're going to be seeing more. I'd love to have an updated one of Estelle and Ren, because those were released years ago. They're kind of the older Nendoroids that get a little sticky, and the aftermarket prices for those are crazy. So it'd be cool if they got some re-releases, maybe with their more updated designs from some of the later games. That would be cool. I'm not really sure how well Altina sold, because I don't know many Trails fans that actually got her. I kind of felt like she flew under the radar a little bit. So maybe the sales didn't really justify more at this time. But I'm so deep in the Trails figures right now, it's not even funny. I have so many on pre-order that I'm expecting this year, and I know they're just gonna continue releasing more of them, and I don't know where they're gonna go. But anyway, yes, I highly recommend Altina's Nendoroid if you happen upon it. So before we get into some of the One Piece stuff, I wanted to share this box with you all. So this is something that Serenity Forge sent me, and they described this as a New Year's gift as a thank you to, I guess, people that they were working with on some of their last year's releases. I want to just say thank you, Serenity Forge, for sending this to me, and I just wanted to share some of the cool goodies that they sent my way. So starting with this bag here. This is all the different games that they published last year, which is really cool to see on this side. And then this side has a lot of different figures from their 2023 releases. And so we have this character from Coffee Talk, as well as this character from Sword and Fairy Together Forever, which were the two games that I partnered with them with. And so I think this tote bag's really cute. The main item, I think, is in this box here. Before I open that, there's a lot of other little things, including this enamel pin set for Art and Rally, which is one of the games they published last year. They're really nice looking. I don't know too much about this game. I know there's a car in it, and I think it's supposed to be kind of relaxing. And this is from Dungeon Munchies, which is kind of a roguelike game with some food and monsters. And this is a game I actually picked up later, Genesis Noir, and this is another enamel pin, but I think this one spins. Let me open it up. Yeah, it spins, which is, I think, a really cool detail. This is a thank you letter. I was curious. From Absolute Drift, a lenticular card, which looks cool. And we also have this acrylic keychain, which I'm not totally sure what this is from. This might be from Lisa. I might have that wrong. And the last two things is related to tea, which is kind of the theme that they went with. And so this is some gunfu tea. That looks really interesting, and it actually uses this special teapot as a way to brew it, which I thought was kind of fun after reading the card there. We have this custom saucer. Their little logo on the bottom, as well as this, it looks like a teacup, but it's actually has a lid. And the idea is that you put the tea leaves in hot water inside this cup. You leave it for a couple seconds, and then you drain it into a teacup to drink. So I think this is absolutely precious and a really unique thing to make. So thank you. So lastly, I'm going to quickly go over some One Piece items that I picked up. The first is this figure of Nico Robin. She is my favorite One Piece character, and I've been having a really difficult time trying to find the perfect Robin figure. If I'm being honest, most of them I don't think look like her at all. And so I've been very hesitant to buy any of them. So I believe this is her first Portrait of Pirate figure from Mega House, and Mega House tends to do the best One Piece figures. This is of her earlier design, which, if I'm being honest, that's kind of my favorite Robin design. When we meet her, kind of go through some trials and tribulations before the time skip. So I picked this up on Mercari Japan for really cheap. I think I only paid maybe $30 or $40 for her. And this is the repainted version, so I think that's why her clothes and everything have that little metallic sheen to it. So I'm really pleased to finally own a Robin figure, and I think she is my favorite. I know they just reissued Alma Sunday, which I think is most people's favorite Robin figure to date. I think her pose is really cool. It's very dynamic, but I really don't like the fur trim. I think how they painted over it looks a little cheap, especially for such an expensive scale figure. And the other qualm I have, just like with a lot of other Robin figures, is her chest size definitely did not look like that during that part of the series. So they definitely amped that up for the fan service, of course, but I just can't help but think how inaccurate it is, which is why I've never picked up that figure. And I was tempted to when they reissued it, but I'm probably still not going to pick it up. I'm really hoping that her Wano design eventually gets a Mega House scale figure. I don't know what's going to happen. I just really hope that there's a really nice Robin figure in the future that looks accurate to her design from either the anime or the manga. That will look nice next to her. Another thing that I picked up that I wanted to share is this print. So I've been kind of binge watching some manga shelf reorganization videos for the past few months, mostly living vicariously because I definitely don't have shelf room to hold any manga or any books for the matter. I bought a Kindle to restrict myself to not buying any more physical books and just keeping to that, which I think has been working so far. But nevertheless, I've been binge watching a lot of those YouTube videos, and I saw someone feature this particular print during one of their pickup videos, I think, and I just had to have it. I'll leave the artist who made this down below, but I just loved all the details packed in this print. Everyone looks just so happy, and the thing I really love about One Piece is just the character dynamics and friendship that they make, and I think this print just exudes that. Everyone just looks so happy and content. Even Law there in the back with his frowny face. And there's so many just hidden details. If you look in the hot pot, I think right there, you see various nods to other parts of the series, and in the background, there's still things I'm just kind of newly discovering. I think the artist did a great job at just capturing the essence of One Piece, making it their own, and just so many great details that fans would love. So I highly recommend this print if anyone is in the market for some fan-made art of One Piece. And the last thing I want to talk about regarding One Piece is that I've also been getting a little bit into the trading card game, and I haven't actually played the game yet. I might in the future, but trading card games are not really my thing, but I really wanted to pick this up because I just adore the artwork that's featured on these cards, and I'm really mad that these are almost impossible to get a hold of. Thankfully, I've been able to get the gift collection box here, as well as the other special collection that included the devil fruit here from Target. I've been trying to scour everywhere from the internet to some of the other stores like Walmart, but I've only been able to find a few things from my local Target. I just don't know why Bandai Namco makes getting a lot of the booster sets and just the regular cards just so inaccessible. There's just this really bad barrier to entry, I think, of this card game in general, and it's really disheartening. I haven't been able to get any of the OP5 booster sets, and I know they're coming out with a few more this year. So you can't order them online anywhere. It's just, it seems impossible, and everything's marked up so heavily on eBay. But I've, anyway, been putting some of the cards in this binder here. I know some people just collect some of the special cards that have a higher rarity or some cool holographic or foil design to it. What I've been trying to do is just collect all of my unique cards. So even the common cards, I just really like the art, and it's just kind of cool flipping through this and seeing all the different characters or areas. And yeah, I want to kind of continue collecting these. It's just been a little difficult just to get a hold of some packs because I'm not trying to collect everything. I just want to have a couple packs just to fill out again the binder and maybe have some nice pages of some of my favorite characters, like Robin. But yeah, that was everything for this pickups video. I imagine this is going to be long. I hope it was fun, and I'm not too sure when my next one will be because I am currently on a low buy. I have quite a number of scales that are coming out this summer. I do have a few games pre-ordered for February, including the Trails of Cold Steel 3 and 4 double pack on the PS5, collector's edition, as well as Final Fantasy Rebirth Deluxe Edition. I only have those games so far kind of fixed for this month. Depending on a few different circumstances, I might end up picking up a couple more, maybe older titles. I'm really trying to not buy too many new releases this year because I'm just frankly not going to be able to get to them all. We'll see kind of how things go, so maybe in a few months I've accumulated enough things to do another pickups video. So let me know if you had any exciting pickups for the last couple months or so, or if you have any exciting pre-orders coming out as well for February. And until my next video, bye guys.